Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield.
Well, we're back on Odyssey now because apparently YouTube hates me.
Fuck YouTube.
They're discriminatory against cripples and the disabled, which I actually tried to use that. I actually tried to use that as like the thing in my appeal of like, hey, I'm disabled, so
That's fucked up. I mean, you're physically crippled and I'm mentally disabled. Like, together, we have a clear-cut case of, exemption from any sort of election misinformation or whatever bullshit they've tried to hit you with.
Well, and then I didn't want to speak for you, but weren't you, didn't they strike you recently for, like, medical misinformation or something?
Yes, and to be fair, I can't remember what the video was, but I'm fairly certain it was. I was reading off a list of companies back in like late 2020, I think it was, maybe early 2021, that were giving away free stuff if you showed them your vaccination card. So the title of the video was "Get the jab, Goy, and we'll give you free stuff." And so I really wish I had an archive of the video because I'm positive actually, that I was just like mocking the fact that, yeah, just go fucking get the jab, maybe, you know what? I probably did say something about like experimental gene therapy or that it's not an actual vaccine, things that are proven factual now. But yeah, they hit me for that just 2 days after they hit you, which leads me to believe that they're somehow connected. Somehow.
That, with all the weird shit going on these days, that actually wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they struck my 4th of July stream I did back in 2021 because, well, they never actually specified why it was election misinformation. They never specified the part, but I think, because I went back and listened to the archive audio, and there's a point in which I'm reading off a chat where Evil Eric in the chat says that Sam, how can you celebrate the 4th of July? The election was stolen. And I said something like really sarcastically like, oh, Eric, the election totally wasn't stolen. Those Dominion machines worked absolutely perfectly. There wasn't anything that was, being covered up whatsoever.
Yeah. Nothing fishy going on over here, boys.
And I want to point out that stream was live for almost 2 fucking years before YouTube decided to, do
Take
something.
it down. Yeah, strike it down, right?
Which leads me to believe that maybe one of our fans, quote unquote, might have reported a few videos, and that was the one that got lucky.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I mean, people on the internet are insane. So I can imagine any number of people that I've interacted with personally, much less the ones that I've interacted with passingly, that have taken up some sort of vendetta, or perhaps would have taken up some sort of vendetta against the channel, and myself included.
I definitely remember that, like, some of Mershit, I'm not saying that Mershit himself did this, but I definitely know that some of his hardcore pay pigs were like, we're gonna ruin your channel since you...
Yeah, and to be fair, like, I'm mutuals with several of Mersh's, like, diehards.
So am I.
You know what I mean? So
Oh my.
I don't think it's his community. If anything, I think it's some bleed off from like some fucking tranny bullshit, or like the militant pedophiles, or you know what I mean, like the somehow we got pinged somewhere, or perhaps it's just a coincidence. Maybe it just slipped under the cracks for the last 2 years, and the algorithm just now caught up to it.
Well, that with everything going on, that one describes me. One thing I wanted to ask before we dive into part two of the Twitter files is, did you have a chance to read any of the stuff that Matt Taibbi released from the previous week?
Yeah, I scrolled through it, and I got to be honest with you. I started scrolling through this one, and both times I ended up in uh, the same place. And I guess it's just the modern brain, but this feels like a really bad way of reporting, especially something so significant, because I get like to part 4, part 5, and I'm like, okay, I'm fucking bored. Like I'm looking for the meat, and there's meat strewn throughout, but it's like it just doesn't. It can't. The first part, I remember I had to give up after like part 4 because I couldn't. He was typing the shit. He was type post. Seemingly these people don't know how to add a tweet where you can type it all the fuck up at once, and then just hit send. And instead, they've got to. It feels intentional, like they're baiting for engagement on this huge fucking story in this way. They're passing it back and forth between Taibbi and fucking Weiss, and part 3 tomorrow, part 4 fucking 2 days from now. It's like it really does seem like they're just jockeying for engagement.
And what's weird, because I actually agree, and this was one thing that, because when Ash was here, he and I were actually reading the stuff last week, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, he said this is formatted like dog shit, basically,
It sucks. It sucks
and
so
it's
bad. Yeah, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
and he and the other thing he said that he noticed is, like, if you're in your feed, sometimes like random parts of the thread will just like pop up in your latest
Yeah.
uh timeline. So like, you're just scrolling around, uh looking at cats or whatever, and the next thing you know, number 38, and you're like, what is this? So
Yeah, and even if for some reason that particular entry piques your interest, good luck finding your way to the top of the thread at that point. You know, if you're at
yeah.
number 38 and there's been thousands of retweets and comments and shit, if that random part pops up in your timeline, I've had that happen a couple times too, where I'm like, I click on it and I want to go to the top, and you can't, like, I thought shit got deleted. It's throughout some of my
Yeah.
readings of this shit, because it's like, okay, well, it just stops at 36, and then you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. I mean, it
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks really bad, and it does just seem like bait. I doubt any fucking thing. Just like it's maybe the black pill of my black pill nature at this point, but I just genuinely don't think a single fucking thing is going to happen. This is just more bait to get more eyes, more attention. And I do like Elon's done some good things, but he's still a cog, in the machine, a prominent one at
Yeah.
this point. So I just don't. I will believe it when I see it, I guess, kind of thing. I'm still pretty pessimistic about all of it, you know.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, I mean, I'm we're gonna go through some of this, but like, my take overall, because I was talking to my friend who works for someone in Congress, and he was basically saying that, that his boss wants to look in more into this, and I said, I'm sure that your boss is one of the few good ones, but until we see actual action taken on some of this stuff, nothing is really going to happen. This is just
Yeah, it's just more, bread and circuses, man. It's kind of a trite old, whatever you call that.
yeah.
But it is what it is, and it's very true. Just give the people, bread and circuses, and this is just another form of circus. Most people aren't on Twitter. You know what I mean? And the people that are in one militant group or the other. And
I
I just don't think it's not the public square that people claim it is. It is for the people that are on the internet, but most real people are not on the internet. You know, not in the capacity that we're talking about here anyway.
maybe not. Well, that's all. Well, that it could be argued though that that's why this was posted in the way it was, because the normies might see it then, like if they're following Elon or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's a fair point. Yeah.
And that's something that someone mentioned. So I'm gonna skip through some of this, but like, so starting at number 3, because the first two parts basically just recap what was said.
Okay. I have actually read this part. I have to step away for 15 seconds. So go ahead and read. I will be right back.
Okay, no problem. So, folks, starting off at number 3, take for example Stanford Dr. J. Bedishires, um, who argued that COVID lockdowns would harm children. Twitter secretly placed him on a trends blacklist, which prevented his tweets from trending. And then if we click on this, you can see that he has an active report abuse strike, a trends blacklist, no strike count, but yeah, they have like they have notes on him for sure. So, all right. Number 4, or consider the popular right-wing talk show host Dan Bongino, who at one point was slapped with a search blacklist. So let's click here on Dan. Verified active, notification spike, search blacklist, NSFW view, and then SPMA. One thing I want to point out here, they did not explain what any of these tags are, like the notification spike or the SPMA thing. That's what
Yeah.
they
Yeah, it
that
seems to be. It seems pretty clearly some sort of internal, like it's like an internal labeling system, right? Like where we used to be able to post like thread or listening to
yeah.
now or whatever. It's like the same kind of thing, just a way for them to label internally. But you're right though. They didn't SPMA or notification spike. I don't know what that means. I can't even imagine what either of those mean.
Yeah, and I feel like those are the types of thing that they should have at least maybe included in this, but that's just me nitpicking. Um, Twitter set the account of conservative activist Charlie Kirk to do not amplify, which again, I that's another term I want to find out. What does that mean? Uh, I guess, you know, because do not amplify could mean a different thing. Do not promote or just blacklist altogether.
Well,
But
maybe stifle the organic growth. Do not
yeah,
promote. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's interesting, but I think some of them are pretty self-explanatory. You can kind of paint the picture in your, excuse me, in your mind's eye.
I
Like the do not promote and shit like that. Like I kind of understand what that means without knowing
I
exactly what the function was. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm curious what like the tags for like an account like you or I would would be just
I doubt they would have any, to be honest with you. I mean, if well, I don't know. You have more followers than I do, but I think you'd have to get up into the several thousand follower range, and well, and even if not that, you'd have to have pretty good engagement with real people. You know, if you only had 500 followers, but they were all real people and they were constantly engaging with you, you know what I mean? Like Asha Logos is one that I'm sure has some sort of stipulations. He's one of my favorite YouTube creators, but he's been on Twitter for a while too, and
yeah.
he only has a few thousand followers, but he speaks on some real shit and doesn't seem to get a whole lot of engagement.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I kind of had the same thing where like prior to 2016, I only had a few thousand followers and but my engagement was good. People were regularly getting the links and up until like just recently, people couldn't really see any of my stuff. So,
right.
um but yeah. Number 6, Twitter denied that it did such things in 20 in 2018. Or Twitter has denied that it does such things. In 2018, Twitter's Vijaya Gad, then head of legal policy and trust, and Kayvon uh, Boykover, head of product, said, "We do not shadow ban." They added, "And we certainly don't shadow ban based on political viewpoints or ideology." Number 7, what people call shadow banning, Twitter executives and employees call it visibility filtering or VF. Multiple high-level sources confirmed its meaning. Think about visibility, blah blah blah. As opposed to so, this is stuff that we kind of know. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, we've know. I mean, like anybody with a brain or that uses these services for anything other than sucking Fauci's dick or something like sucking some mainstream personality off. If they use it in the way it's meant to be used as a social media platform to speak your mind, and certainly to to dissent against any kind of opinion, whatever that may be, political or otherwise, then I could see how you might just not know this. But I believe that most real people, are familiar with it. I mean, Elon Musk spent $50 billion because he used it and is a real person and saw its potential. And one of the things that I don't think was involved in this particular release of the Twitter files is this whole implication of Jack Dorsey and potential fucking like a criminal complaint, the child, the pedophilia and shit that was overlooked under Jack's supervision. Jack and Elon apparently had some kind of back and forth earlier, where somebody said something about how is this not a crime? How's nobody being charged? And Elon's like, well, it is a crime. It's a blah, 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 blah. And Jack's like, this is not true. And Elon's like, bullshit. You fucking, there's documents of you telling people to look the other way or focus on this or that. Or I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but yeah. So that's another thing where I mean, according to what I saw earlier today, like there should be some criminal fucking charges coming down on some of these people, specifically Dorsey and, Pajat, whatever the fuck that Indian broad's name is,
Yeah,
and
the JJ as I call her.
yeah, Vijaya or whatever, and then Yoel or whatever, and he's got a bunch of feds up in there. Like, dude, I don't know. It just nothing about this sits right with me. But go ahead.
No, it doesn't either. So, um, okay, so now we're getting to the meat of some of this. Number 11, we control visibility quite a lot, and we control the amplification of your content quite a bit. and normal people do not know how much we do, one Twitter engineer told us. Two additional Twitter employees confirmed. The group that decided whether to limit the reach of certain users was the Strategic Response Team, Global Global Escalation Team, or SFT/GET. It often handled up to 200 cases a day. But there existed a level beyond official ticketing, beyond the rank and file moderators following the company's policy on paper. That is the site integrity. That is the site integrity policy explanation support known as SIPes, I guess. Uh, the secret group included head of legal policy and trust Vijaya Gaddy, the global head of trust and safety Yoel Roth, and subsequent CEOs uh, Jeff
Parag. Oh yeah, go
Dorsey
ahead.
and Parag, whatever. I know we're on Odyssey, but still, I'm not gonna try and butcher that name. Um, this is the biggest, most. This is where the most. This is where the biggest, most politically sensitive decisions got made. Think high Twitter, think high follower account, controversial. Another Twitter employee told us. For these, there would be no ticketing. There would be no ticket or anything. Okay, so the way I understand it, us plebs like Apex and we would get tickets, to determine whether or not to shadow ban us. But there were some people that they would just shadow ban outright. I guess
Sure.
that's how I'm reading this.
Yeah, I mean, again, I find it difficult to even really understand what the point of all this is. Like, I knew all of this. Maybe not in this specific of detail, but this shit's been clear for years.
Yeah,
So this is not a revelation to me. And the fact that they're laying it out like they're detailing, like a murder scene or something is pretentious and kind of obnoxious, and I don't care for it, to be honest with you. Like, I've actually been inclined to not give a fuck about what's going on with this Twitter files shit because I
yeah.
know
I mean,
it's politically biased. I fucking know. We all know. So what? Do something about it.
I mean,
Let's pass it back and forth between your favorite journalists so that they can boost both the platform they're posting on and their own personal pages. It just seems like a fucking stunt, Sammy. Like, it doesn't. I don't care. I mean, I'm having a hard time caring, I guess is what I'm saying.
no, no.
Not to not to derail, but
I mean, I am too. People wanted me to go over this, but I mean, let's just pause here. And yeah, I mean, Apex is right. We both we anyone who's been paying attention knows that this type of shit has been happening. I guess the point. I guess the point that someone made to me earlier today about this is that, well, now this is proof that they're
proof.
doing this shit.
Proof is always good. That is 100% true. It is.
And
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, and proof is good. But my thing is, what's next? Is anything actually going to come of this, or is
Well,
this going to?
that's what bothers me, Sammy. Is if I'm not confident that it will, but what seems to be the traction there, the track that we're on, is what's next is part 4 on Taibbi's page, and then part 5 on whatever the fuck her name's page is, on Weiss's page, and then potentially an explosive part 6 promoted by everybody,
Yeah,
detailing the same shit over and over and over. And I mean, look, if there was anything real, I think the people in charge would have been, there would be some sort of criminal charges potentially levied against them if they knew of real criminal activity and they decided to leak it out incrementally to boost the platform that Elon just spent $50 million or $1 billion on. You know, there's, if there was anything real in there, if they didn't come out with it right the fuck away and pass it on to the relevant agencies or whatever. And I guess there's always the argument for the legal gray area where shit like this isn't written into law, and that's how they've gotten away with it. And maybe things like this can prompt enough people to care more than they previously did. The normies, let's say, the people that don't use the internet, that I was mentioning earlier. But this shit is starting. I mean, they don't talk about this on CNN. They don't talk about it on Fox News. They don't. If you're not on the internet, you're not hearing about this shit. Pretty much. If anything, you're hearing about how Elon is potentially under investigation by the DHS and the FBI, and just bullshit. The same bullshit they always pull, just with a different framework about Elon. Potentially being a threat, a danger to society.
Yeah. So I just basically scrolled through the rest of this, and all they did was basically detail how libs of TikTok got censored, and it was
Yeah,
the same.
which we knew.
It was the same thing, and then basically, go over to Matt Taibbi's channel for the next installment. Which again, how many installments do we
That's my
need?
that's my
Yeah,
point, Sam. Like, then what's next is again part 4 on Matt Taibbi's fucking page, and then probably part 6 on, who knows, maybe a surprise third party. Holy shit.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for it. It's just another circus, man. Um, doesn't mean shit to me. I don't think. I don't
That
know.
that might actually be the title of this stream. After I'm done, I might retitle the Twitter files: just another circus.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. I
I mean
mean,
it's true though. Like, because we've all got to pay attention to something. If we weren't looking at these Twitter files, we might just be looking into what the fuck's really going on in Ukraine, or in China, or with our own economy. Some shit that actually matters, but this shit's right in front of our face.
sup-
It's shoved down our throat because we're in this, little sphere.
supposedly, and I'm not saying I have some. I'm not saying I have some inside track because I don't. But the rumor I've heard says that like the next thing of Twitter file, threads or whatever, ties into the war in Ukraine somehow, which
Well,
I doubt that, but B, it's like, if that's the case, well then motherfuckers, why are you hiding that right now? Like, this is shit that we could use right now
yeah, and
and not.
like, I mean, wasn't part one? Didn't part one go over the Hunter Biden story and shit and the censoring of that?
Yeah, I mean,
We
which,
knew that.
yeah.
We fucking knew that. What came of that Twitter files thing that we didn't already know? Confirmation, yes, but nothing, clearly nothing concrete enough, excuse me, to cause any sort of change, anything to actually fucking happen. It just stirred the pot a little more, brother. Stir that fucking shit up. Get the QAnon boys fired back up, whatever. Something to that degree. It's bullshit.
which
Anyway,
that which that's all we need, right? We need another crazy group, like, because here's the thing. All of this might be true, right? But then there will be the crazies on the internet that will say, well, if this is true, then X must also be true.
right.
And
The
yeah,
internet, the internet for as long as I've been alive has been told. I mean, I have been told for as long as the internet has existed, which is most of my life, that you never trust anything you hear. You never trust anything you read. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. The people are liars. They're gonna trick you. They're gonna blah 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 blah. And with the advent of social media and all this other shit, it's no different. There's real people mixed up in it, so you can find little nuggets in there. But generally speaking, it is just a wider, deeper trough of bullshit than it
yeah,
used to be. Like it used to be, you meet somebody on a fucking message board and you talk to them for a day and they want some personal information. Well, obviously you don't give that to them. So, I mean, the same could be said today, but I have met a scary number of people that offer me, after a short amount of time, their personal info that I didn't ask for. Just private, hit it off somewhere publicly and then start having a conversation privately. And it's like, oh, I live here. This is my name. My parents' names, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, okay. Like, no. But my point of this rambling here is that most people look at the internet as bullshit because it still is. Most of it is bullshit. So even
yeah.
and people like Elon Musk and Barry Weiss and Taibbi and everybody involved here have an opportunity that they're not going. I don't see them seizing to break that paradigm and post some real shit, some real breaking, some actual legally binding, or something legally with some legal repercussions on people. And maybe I could be speaking too soon. Maybe that will come. We're in the early days of this shit. But you know, just telling
Well,
us,
yeah.
teasing out these fucking threads of shit that we knew. We knew the Hunter Biden story was real. We knew that we knew that it was censored across the board. That's not a fucking shock. To have proof of it isn't really a shock. But is that proof actionable in any sort of legal way? That's what people should be talking about. You know what I mean?
Well, and then here's some other food for thought too. Like it, because I hear a lot of, you know, people on the right saying, no, I have a liberal brother, or I have like a liberal cousin, and now I can show this to them and I can shove it in their face and be like, I was right all along. And
And go
and
ahead.
if you try and do that, they're still gonna deny it.
Yeah,
They're still gonna argue with you. They're gonna there's
it goes back to what I was just saying. They're going to say it's bullshit. It's on the internet. People lie on the internet. You can't take that shit seriously, bro. There's no
Yeah.
context. There's so many holes in the world of the internet still. And Jordan fucking Peterson, losing his mind at the anonymous online and demanding that we be segregated. People that don't want to post their real first and last name on the internet because we're bridge dwelling trolls and all the other shit. It's so weird. I used to like that, man. I
Yeah.
hate to wander off there, but
No,
yeah, he's
no.
kind of lost his fucking shit lately, man.
I mean, Mike Huckabee, who, granted, is, you know, he's an old dude, right? So he doesn't understand it. But Mike Huckabee, who is, like, you know, supposed to be like big First Amendment conservative, he said the same thing, like, earlier this year, and everyone Universal was pretty much like, bad take, dude. You know,
Yeah.
he was like, he was like, there should be like a, an internet database where you have to like register your, I'm like, ugh, like,
Well, I mean, look, man, to play devil's advocate, that's how pretty much every fucking thing else we do in life is done. You've got a birth certificate, you've got a social security number, all of that shit's tied to your driver's license, your insurance, your house, your school, your loans, your debts. It's all tied to you. So if you're gonna have a voice on this digital space, of course they're gonna want to document who's saying what and holds
well,
people accountable to that, right? I mean,
and what a lot of people what a lot of people don't realize, and it's pretty obvious to me, but like, if you pay for internet, like if you pay for internet, your ISP already has your, name and
yeah,
address and all that stuff.
yeah.
So, the feds can go to them for, I guess, that
That's that.
stuff.
No, that's a fact. You're right about that. But again, I was just playing devil's advocate here
Yeah.
because you know what his whole point is like he's put and putting myself in his shoes. Damn, I can't do his voice. Um, he's like, he's put himself out there for all of these things, and he can't defeat an ethereal person. Like he has to have a figure in front of him to poke holes in. And if you're just a troll stating real facts that he can't refute without attacking your character or using one of the other,
Yeah.
classic, debate tactics, um, then yeah, he's at the disadvantage. And there's a really good I've forgotten all about it. This thing's fucking 3 years old, but I remember watching it shortly after it was posted by a YouTube channel called Resurrection Europa, which is kind of like a like a nationalist sort of thing. I don't know much about it, but this particular video was just called Dismantled, I think, or something like that. And it was talking about Jordan Peterson and how like his goal and what his stated goals have been through all of his mumblings and shit, and how his like sole purpose has been to stifle the right side of the political sphere, particularly in young white men, because they're the only group that has any sort of real cohesive identity, and it's really dangerous if if that were to be realized in any sort of actual sense. And he so anyway, yeah. But I only reason I remembered it is because Jordan Peterson posted it today on Twitter. It was like this is what the reactionary right thinks of me, Bucko. This is the second time in the time I've been on Twitter that he's posted it.
Well,
Boosting it and shit.
and the fact that he's just now recognizing it is a little bizarre too, because I mean, look, like, the reactionary right has never liked him for this.
No,
The reactionary right and the far left are, as I've said, they're both so far to the extremes of the left and the right that they pretty much intersect. That they're pretty much the same thing.
and
Um,
just to interject real quick, what's really funny is he has a huge audience, and basically none of them are any sort of ethnic minorities with any sort of real numbers. Like there's not a bunch of Hindus or Muslims or Jews or anything. It's young white, Christian men from European countries and the Americas, you know. And
yeah.
that's not 100% universally true, but it's like 98%, you know. It's weird.
Well, Well, the other thing that's weird about Peterson is his book 12 Rules for Life is basically a I mean, I wouldn't say it's plagiarized, but it
It's the most it's the most benign self-help shit. It is basically plagiarized. Just put
I
in his
mean,
own voice. Yeah, it's basic shit.
yeah,
That's the self-help angle that he takes, but what that seems to mask his political ideologies. And if you
yeah.
dare challenge any Jordan Peterson fans, and I used to be one of these faggots, excuse me, that would be like, you just don't fucking get it, man. You just don't get it. Dude, he is not good for just generally speaking. He's got a lot of big thoughts, but not everybody that yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's it's, it's fucked up getting constantly duped by people, personalities on the internet. You'd think I'd learn.
Well, I mean, and I mean that's the other thing too, though, is like from my perspective, I've actually like I was duped by a few people um I mean J- Jordan Peterson, like I was never really into him, but like Dennis. The thing of it is Jordan Peterson plagiarized a lot of like what Dennis Prager wrote like 20 years before uh, Jordan Peterson was a thing,
Yeah.
and then like they're and like I'm not one to be to suggest like litigation, but I'm kind of like, Dennis, did you read Peterson's book? Because
Dude, they're best buddies.
yeah, no,
Prager probably helped form Peterson into the public persona that he is. I mean, he's right there with PragerU and Daily Wire.
yeah,
You know, well, the first I'd ignored the man for a long time, but I saw some videos start popping up in my feed, my YouTube feed. He did a message to Muslims, and then a message to Christians, and then that was it. You know, and then like some sort of like okay. I joke a lot about the Jews here on this channel, but this one was really weird because Jordan hates identity politics and refuses. Like he talks about how knowing how to exclude the reactionary right, and if you're talking about racial superiority, put you in a box, you're out of the conversation. Get out. You know, you're not allowed in here, kind of thing. And then in the same conference, we'll talk about how Jews are overrepresented in places of authority because they have a higher IQ and are more successful as a race. And then it's very fucked up, dude. when you it's all buried in his
yeah.
within the things he says over the course of his ramblings, but he's I'm not convinced that he's not just another fucking like synthesized thing. Like nothing. I don't think anything about his rise to popularity was organic anymore. Like I really don't.
I I feel like this whole and I mean honestly, I feel like this whole SJW like or the whole anti SJW craze, if you want to call it, has gotten to be just as cringe as the SJW stuff at this point. Like I'm so tired of hearing the word woke at this point. Like when people just bash something as oh that's woke or some
Yeah, yeah. Well, it means nothing anymore, right? I mean, that's kind
right
of what you're saying. Like it has nothing to do with the phrase itself. It's the overuse. I mean, the same has happened countless times within my life. A powerful word no longer means a fucking thing a few years later because that's all anybody says. You know,
well
I
like
can't think of an example, but
well like like I don't know what it was that I saw recently, but like I saw some sort of video for something that Tyler Perry was doing or something, and someone said, "Oh, that's a what that's a this is super woke or something," and I'm like, why? Because it's Tyler Perry and because he's black, like that automatically equals like woke in my mind, like is something that like the SJW is like force upon something, but like having like a black person in a movie does
Yeah.
not necessarily make something woke.
Yeah.
So
That sounds like, that's the other thing is as much as I hate to admit it, a lot of this shit, this current, like, I mean, I'm going to unironically use the phrase woke kind of propaganda in movies and TV shows that does pervade almost everything nowadays. You can't watch a show without gay characters. You can't watch a show without, whatever. Generally speaking, right? But one thing
yeah,
that does it does seem to be really effective at exposing real people's like inherent biases that they would normally keep down, like with it shoved down their throat, like like the person you were just describing. They're like, this is woke bullshit, just because there's a black guy in a show, But they're like, they just don't want to see that black guy.
yeah,
They're just fired up. They don't want to see a fucking black guy in a TV show. Fuck.
yeah.
They would never say that otherwise, but because it's become such a thing, they let it slip, and it is funny when that happens.
Well, I mean, I feel like there are some examples of like woke shit. I also feel like there are some examples of like pushback against, woke stuff
Oh
too
yeah.
that not enough people give credit to. Um and I mean like for me like honestly the fact that Kanye West has gone like full white supremacist
Yeah.
and also like the fact that he's
Nazi
out.
Nazi apologist and Hitler lover and fucking yeah, he's gone full bore. It's art. It really is.
I'm not saying that I condone it, but like just but like from a purely like from a pure like art perspective, it is entertaining. Like
It is so funny, dude. It is it's the best thing I think I've ever seen on the public stage. And like just because it is it is too funny, man. Like it's fucking Kanye is reading 4chan on interviews with fucking Alex Jones and making Alex Jones fucking squirm. And then having Gavin McGinnis fly him out to try and rehab him and making Gavin McGinnis fucking squirm. And all these people that have been admonished for years as being the most horrible people ever allowed to speak publicly on the internet. And Kanye is
yeah,
doing interviews with them and saying shit that, again, you would really only read on 4chan or like reposted
no,
from 4chan to Twitter, like to dark corners of Twitter or something, or on
it's
a Discord server.
it's weird being like it's weird because I saw an NPR like journalist tweet out something like, "Wow, I actually feel bad for Alex Jones.
Yeah.
He's the moderate in this conversation."
He's the adult. He's the adult in this conversation because you got, you
Yeah,
know, cum detective Nick Fuentes over there wearing the same hoodie for 5 fucking days. And Kanye wearing his fucking, I don't even know what that is, man.
the ball clopper or whatever
Yeah,
it
the
is.
baklava, yeah. It's not even a baklava, dude, because the baklava's got a hole in a mouth at least cut out. I think that has eyeball slits, but I can't really tell. And it looks like he's wearing like an Eminem's NASCAR jacket as well, or something. You know, those Eminem. You know what I'm talking about? They were popular with
Yeah.
black
Oh
people in
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
'90s.
Yeah.
The NASCAR jackets with the M&Ms on them.
Well, that is one thing that like someone brought up though too is excuse me um so like I was watching Lethal Weapon the other night and I was thinking like I'm like geez, this was before Mel Gibson like got in trouble for like becoming an anti-Semite, but then I thought back to that time and like Mel Gibson eventually got like a you know like he apologized and people for actually like I feel like a lot of this shit would like go away maybe if people didn't hold grudges, right?
Sure.
Like that's the thing. Like in this current age of the internet, like no one can forgive shit, really. And maybe it's always been that way, but I feel like 15 years ago at least there was a path of redemption available at least.
Yeah. Well, and I think that comes with the times. I just think that people are too online now, and
Yeah.
I don't think that people really give a fuck about most of the things that they freak out about online. It's just something to do. It gets you attention to call people out, to, be angry. I saw fucking Gabriel Iglesias got in trouble recently. Fucking Fluffy, like the nicest, most PG, famous comedian that probably exists right now. Uh, he's actually funny. I like him. But he got in trouble because he went to Chick-fil-A and posted like he's like, I'm going to get some chicken nuggets for my nugget, like, with a picture with his fucking chihuahua, and like the woke mob came after him, and they freaking the fuck out. He got tons of engagement, negatively, of course, people pretending to be mad. And I saw him on a podcast talking about it just earlier today. It's a little clip that I popped up in my YouTube feed. And he said the same thing. He's like, I'm not even sure that this shit's real, man. I think just people need something to do. Because, I mean, my ticket sales weren't, Dave Chappelle does this. He talks about controversial shit on stage, and he's not been kicked out of any of his deals. He's not lost anything. These people do threads and stuff. It's just something to do. It's a way for them to be seen while they sit, to use the old analogy of sitting in their mom's basement kind of thing. I think a lot of people that have time to troll around online are young and don't have a whole lot of responsibilities. The rest are bitter like me and do work and just want other people to suffer so I can laugh at it.
Yeah. I I'm somewhere in between, but like I'm to the point where like I'm kind of sick and tired of like of people going, oh well, you're right wing, or oh you're too liberal, and it's like you know I'm almost at the point where like I don't want to be like one of those hipsters that like says, oh I don't see labels, but it's like at this point, I'm not sure if I'm like right wing or like what I am because
Yeah, those
I
labels are important, but those labels don't matter. They're not
yeah
they're really not important in real life. You know what I mean? Fortunately.
like I would say like I used to like I just identify as like me basically now. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
even say like I'm necessarily a conservative just because like my idea of like what conservative is like differs drastically from like what someone else's might
Yeah.
be.
Of
So
course. That's like human nature, you know what I mean? Your
yeah,
idea of being a father is different from probably a lot of other people's idea of what being a father is. Same with what being a son is, or what being
yeah,
a
oh
brother is, what being a cousin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah.
We are all individuals, man.
So
I gotta grab another beer. I'll be right back.
which which I think that might be the whole takeaway from this maybe not just from this episode but from this entire podcast that I've done over the past, which is we are all individuals. And so, oh, by the way, um, for those of you who are wondering what beer I'm drinking tonight, I am drinking, let's see here. Oh, by the way,
Sorry.
Apex, what beer are you drinking tonight?
Oh, garbage. I'm drinking Ice House because it's really cheap.
Well, I mean, I've got a whole thing of Budweiser, but I've also uh is there a Costco near you by chance?
Yeah, it's right. It's right next, or well, it's about a mile and a half from the Sam's Club that I shop at. But I don't have a Costco membership. I go to
Well,
Sam's Club.
I think Costco and Sam's Club they both do this like 25 days of Christmas beer advent calendar
Oh,
that's German. And so last year I got that as like an early Christmas present, and this year I got so I've been doing like I've been posting like different beers,
nice.
and I think tonight I have some sort of uh I don't even know what it is because I don't speak German,
well,
but
hold
but
it
it
close to hold the label close to the camera so that the people can see.
but it
Uh, looks
but
like a interesting.
the uh the the can art is pretty cool, and
Yeah, the can art is pretty cool.
I do watch it out, and like I have a whole collection here on my shelf actually. But basically I'm drink I'm drinking like a cross between like a grapefruit and like a cantaloupe. It's like a
Oh,
really
in a beer? Really
yeah. It's
interesting.
it's an interesting flavor combination.
Hmm. I just had my first chocolate porter recently.
Ooh, those are actually I I have to admit I had a lady friend of mine convinced me to try one, and I used to make I was making fun of her for like liking chocolate porters, but turns out they're actually not bad.
Yeah, they
So
I guess Yingling, I think it's Yingling, partnered up with Hershey's to make a chocolate porter, and they were sell it. It was on sale at my local grocery store, so I bought a 6 pack, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was quite good,
oh
and
yeah,
not too sweet. It was more like a dark chocolate kind of thing with beer, and I still have a memory of my one of my dad's friends who helped him do a lot of work. He was like a hired hand. He drank a lot, but he swore by eating chocolate bars with his fucking Budweiser. He would like eat a piece of chocolate and take it. He would carry chocolate bars when he would come to drink. He swore by it. He's like, dude, beer and chocolate's fucking delicious. Um, and I mean, based on that porter, I agree. I can't say that I've ever like thrown some Hershey's Pieces in my mouth and then washed it down with a gulp of beer, but
yeah.
hey,
The I had the Hershey's one, but there was actually someone bought me one of those like chocolate. It wasn't a chocolate porter, but it was like a chocolate stout that like that I guess Godiva had like done, and I was skeptical, but it was pretty good. Like you would think a chocolate and a stout would be like a little too much, but it was actually pretty
yeah,
good.
I don't think I've ever had a stout before.
Really.
Yeah, I'm not very cultured.
I well, when I started drinking beer, it was with I mean, the first time I drank beer was like when I was like 16.
Sure.
My dad brought home like my dad at the time was he uh he had gone to Ireland for a business trip, so he brought like back a whole case of Guinness, and that was like for which is a stout.
Oh, Guinness is this? Okay, so I've definitely had a stout then.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've had a Guinness, you've had like not only have you had
Is that
a
just what stout
stout,
means? It's just like it's just really heavy. Is that what a stout is? Like
yeah.
really? Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. If I've had a Guinness, I've
So
not only had a stout. What?
you've had like the stout basically,
Oh, okay.
like what kind of like how Budweiser is kind of like the standard for like I guess lager or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Even though it's not very good, it's still like it's still what people think of.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
So,
how do you feel
uh,
about Yangling?
oh, I love Yingling. Yingling is one of those beers that like I actually discovered when I moved here to Florida, and
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean honestly, I didn't know that it was German. I thought it was Chinese. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
like I in fact there's an episode of the Whitfield Report where I'm drinking a Yingling and you're like, really, Yingling? Like that sounds Chinese, Sammy. So
Yeah. Well, because I was gonna say just now when I started to interrupt you that I literally never even heard of Yingling until like maybe 6 or 8 years ago, maybe 10. But that's pushing it. I feel like it's more like 5 years ago. Uh, and then I'm like, what is this Chinese bullshit? And then I saw it was like oldest fucking brewery in America. What? The Chinese were brewing beer in America before the Irish or before before anybody else? But no, it's German.
yeah, there's actually like I don't know how the hell I went down this YouTube channel. How I went down. Well, probably because I was looking at beer, but there's actually like a whole documentary like from the Yingling Company on YouTube that like it's like a 35-minute like real well produced like porcelain level produced
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
documentary on Yingling and like the family history, and also I guess like the reason why it's so prominent here in Florida. I mean, the way it's promoted here in Florida, you would think it's Budweiser, like it's everywhere. But I guess the reason why is because the owners go to like Padres training camp every year or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they probably yeah, they invest in certain areas, which is probably why I've never really heard of it growing up in the South. Not to say that it's not there, but just wasn't really a beer connoisseur. I literally don't even remember seeing the label, and like I saw all kinds of labels of shit that I never consumed, both alcoholic and otherwise, as a kid and growing up. I don't know. It seemed it's like one of those Mandela effect things where it's like I don't remember this ever existing, and then all of a sudden, boom, this shit's been around longer than any other beer company in the United States. It's like what?
yeah, well, that's also how I feel with like some video games too, like you and I were discussing during the show, I guess from what Akma has told us, like Cyberpunk, I guess, has been around for like 40 years as like a tabletop, like one of those tabletop games
Yeah,
or something. But it's only recently like come to notoriety as like a video game because of
yeah. The 3D Project Red, right?
yeah. So
Which, yeah, I mean, that's look, almost every single great thing that we consume in this world currently is just a rebrand of something someone did probably better or at least as good a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like there's
yeah,
no real new ideas. There's new technologies which open up new avenues and shit, but None of this. There's nothing really new under the sun, as the old saying goes.
Nope. Everything's a rehash.
Mm. You know what? Speaking, you know what? I know we're over an hour, and I'm actually about ready to go. But I wanted to get this on air and ask you: are you familiar with the Internet Historian on YouTube?
Uh, well, yes, I am.
Okay.
It's
Well, I mean, I am because he's one of those like he's up there. He's been around for a long time making content, and he's credited for a lot of memes and such. But for whatever reason, I never really watched his content, and he just put out his first video. Maybe not his first, but he didn't post for a long time on his main channel. And then he posted a video called like "Man in Hole" or something, and it's a retelling of uh, these brothers in Kentucky that had like a mine on their property, and like it. The only reason I'm bringing it up is it's the most gripping, and it's done in like comedic, cartoonish style, but it's a true story, and it fucked me up. Like it had my palms at one point kind of sweaty because I mean it's like a 50-minute video or something, but it's a true story about a man being trapped in a cave effectively, and like the efforts that have again true story, all researchable. But if you or the audience has not enjoyed that yet, you should check it out because it's very good.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen that. But I have seen some of the internet historians other videos. Speaking of internet people and internet, and more specifically the internet aristocrat, aka Jim. Um, well, he's announced, that like he's pretty sure that his time is coming to an end,
Yeah.
and you have followed him for way longer than I have, so uh, just like what are your, I guess, thoughts on Jimbo's time coming to an end potentially?
Well, I mean, the dude's been dying. We're all dying, right, Sammy? He's been he's been another pillar, sort of an unsung to a great degree, to the wider masses anyway. Sort of hero. He's archived and documented. Look, there's a reason the man with cancer has continued to make content because people will pay a shitload of money to listen to him, just laugh at shit. So he's a pillar, and quite honestly and quite frankly, I would prefer that if it is the end for him, that he does so peacefully and not on the internet and doesn't share it with everybody, and that he leaves some sort of mystery. You know what I mean? No announcement. Let the man fade off. Let him have his own. Let him have a more a moment of peace, and let the internet tear itself apart. Excuse me.
That's kind of my that that's my hope too.
Yeah, just laugh off into the darkness, man. Godspeed, Daddy Jim. You know.
So I don't I don't necessarily I don't now see I'm kind of the thing of like I don't necessarily know if it will be the end because I mean weirder shit weirder shit has happened. People do recover from like weird cancers and shit like that. All not
Yeah.
maybe
And
not
the
all
dude
the
makes like
time, but
fucking
enough.
$5 grand. He makes like 5 to 15 grand every time he pops a stream up. So he's been doing that for a long time.
So it's just it's it's like a it is kind of like it is interesting though, like seeing people like I feel like some of it is a troll maybe, but then like I do some people and they do seem like genuinely saddened by the fact that Jim's not around.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people like that, man. It. again, the attachment syndrome, whatever the fuck that's called, where you get attached to people you've never met. It's like the whatever. As long as celebrities have been a thing, there's been people that are like, will cry, go hysterical when they die suddenly. When one of the Beatles dies or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that shit's been around for a long time.
I guess it. I mean, I guess it is kind of sad because I did read, I do read some of the comments of people in live chat, and there were a few people, and I don't know if this was a troll or what, but there were people who were like, I'm really sad because I kind of grew up like in a fatherless home, and Jim was kind of like my dad.
Yeah, see that's the kind of shit that, real or not, it's funny. It sucks if it's true, but I'm inclined to believe it's not. You know.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, I mean that is one of those things where like you don't know because in either case it could be a lie, but it would in a weird way it would be even funnier if it were true in a dark way.
Sure. Well,
So
dude, yeah, that's exactly the kind of shit that Jim would laugh at, and he would encourage everyone to do the same thing. I mean, quite frankly, what nobody ever had before Jim is a kill all pedos that can absolutely spiritually succeed Jim and will, without a doubt, continue to make Jim content loyal to the Jim spirit. That man does an incredible job. I'm assuming it's, whether it's a team or whatever. Every one of those Kill All Pedos videos is insanely good.
yeah,
So yeah, Jim will live on.
there
There's
is
no reason to be sad.
I
The poor guy doesn't have to suffer anymore.
well, and the funny thing of it is I mean Jim. I'm actually surprised that it took me this long to really kind of like discover who Jim was. I mean, like I knew a bit of who he was before I'd met you and this whole side of the internet, but like I really didn't delve deep into him, and honestly, he reminds me a lot of my late uncle, kind of in the sense of his like tone of voice almost, and also just the way he jokes out fucking everything and can kind of
Yeah,
just not
I think
because
that's the main appeal. I think is that he's kind of the everyman. Like everybody knows, every real person knows somebody like the Mr. Medica or the Internet Aristocrat character
yeah,
that is just unabashedly after the joke, you know, and it's not always funny to everybody, and sometimes it's cringy as fuck. But he is always laughing. You know what I mean? That jovial spirit. That's
yeah.
nobody will ever take that away.
I mean my uncle was my uncle was pretty much the same way. He would pretty much joke about like everything, and I mean he was for a baby boomer that like grew up in the '60s. Like he understood a lot of like modern jokes too, which made it even funnier. But yeah, so
So
but
yeah, that's my take on if it's actually the end. Jim has been up and down for years now, so I have no reason to suspect that Mersh isn't right, and Jim's just been faking this whole time, and he'll just continue to do this for the next 5 years before he skates off into the sunset with millions of dollars in donations.
well, Mersh isn't looking too good himself lately though. So
What are you talking about, dude? He had a Peacock special. He's a superstar.
oh yeah, the fucking peacock.
The Criminals and Degenerates fucking piece of shit podcast or whatever it was. I don't even know. Something like that.
Yeah, he did like some documentary on like Teddy Hart or one of those wrestlers that was like so obscure even my wrestling friends had trouble like
Is that true? I thought it was like I thought he was talking about being a criminal and shit. I didn't watch it, obviously,
He
but
he did he like contributed to like some documentary on like some wrestler who I guess beat his girlfriend like 20, 30 years ago. And then
okay.
I guess like on an early episode of like Nightwave, before the Owen stuff even, like he actually got this wrestler like on the show and like got him to like confess that he like abused his girlfriend or something.
Cool.
Which like honestly, dude, like if that was your beginning, like I guess just stick to that and like leave the politics to someone else. But you know,
Yeah. Well, same could be said about a lot of people, Sammy. Just
yeah.
I don't really give a fuck what
No,
people do.
I just it also on that note, I know that Mersh, still like, makes jabs at me sometimes, but I can tell you that it's nothing I haven't heard before, most likely.
Oh yeah,
It's
get an original joke, Mersh, you fat fucking faggot.
it's nothing new and hey, I every time you talk at me, more people check out my shit. So keep it up, champ. I
You know what's
appreciate.
fucked up is I have had infinitely more unique like burns for you being crippled in the years I've been your co-host than just this person that apparently doesn't like you. You know what I mean? How hard is it to come up with like a rape chair? You know? You ride around in a chair, call it a rape chair, dude. Well, he couldn't do that cuz I already did. But you know what I mean?
Well,
Like
well. The thing of it
use your
is you.
creativity, Mersh. Come on.
Well, the thing of it is like if someone were at least creative about it, like how you're creative and how Brew, how like
Yeah.
how Bruce
yeah.
City, like Bruce City actually introduced me to Ricky Berwick. I didn't even know that Ricky Berwick was a thing until she like photoshopped my face onto onto
Mm.
Ricky Berwick, and I was
oh,
like,
Ricky.
holy shit, is this? Oh fuck, this guy is real. Fuck, he's more crippled than I am.
Yeah, he's fucked up, man. Excuse
But
me.
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. I got not much else, man, to be honest with you.
Me either. I was honestly hoping that this I was hoping that the Twitter files would be more substantial, but even
Yeah.
after scrolling through
I,
them
I'm so,
twice,
yeah, I'm sorry to derail that, but yeah.
no, 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 you and I actually had the same thought though, Apex, in all honesty. Like until something happens in Congress, like that's actually like substantial, I'm not sure what the point of any of this is
Well,
other than just a grift.
yeah, it's boosting
So
that's literally the point, I think. Elon just spent a shitload of money, so he is trying to drive engagement. And it's to be fair, it's clever. It's not an effective means of transferring actual important information, but it is a damn good way to drive engagement, you know?
here's a hot take. Like to me, Twitter hasn't really changed that much. In all honesty, uh,
No, not for the average user, which is ideal because Twitter was working just fine aside from you know, the censorship, the child pornography, which I never ran into, you
not.
know. I never saw any of that, but apparently it was a big deal. It was a big thing and nobody did anything about it for a long time. But
Yeah,
yeah, so I don't that hasn't changed for me, you know.
I never ran to it either. The only thing that's really changed for me is that, like people can see my tweets more regularly again, is good. Which is good, I guess, and hopefully that will translate to more views for the show. If there's one tech company I want to see the secrets of, it's not Twitter. It's fucking
Fucking
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah, dude.
but we'll never see that because
I never say
fucking
never, man.
Google.
We got a long time
So
to go. We got a long way to go.
maybe, but yeah, I don't have anything else either really. So uh,
Well, I have to say that I'm grateful, as always, to be on the show, and I'm grateful for chat, and I'm also very grateful for Odyssey, where we are now streaming exclusively. For now.
yeah, we're not. That is one thing I want to kind of mention real quick before I go is uh on the off chance that like YouTube does like permanently suspend me, like people are like, what are you gonna do if that happens? And the truth being, I'm just gonna keep doing the show. Like I don't think I'm gonna do a new channel for YouTube because that kind of seems
kind of
pointless,
redundant, right?
kind of redundant. So I'll just focus on growing stuff over here. And I mean, the other thing is, I feel like if I were to do like a new YouTube channel, I would need to rebrand, and I've already rebranded this show twice. So
Yeah, well, most of your views come from podcast listens anyway. Am I correct about
yeah,
that? Yeah,
no,
so fuck.
yeah, you're absolutely correct.
So
So
fuck YouTube. Yeah, fuck YouTube. You're still on Spotify. You're still on iTunes and all that other shit. So fuck YouTube. And if you get donations, I'd rather you got them through Odyssey.
yeah, and I mean, I'm encouraging other creators to go over to Odyssey too
Mm-hmm.
because you know it's that that's what Elon needs to buy if he wants to, do a true
Now,
computer.
I would actually rather he kept his fucking mitts off of Odyssey. I would like to see competition. That's important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That used to be that was the driving force in a lot of the creativity in the world for the last several centuries is competition. That's why we had laws preventing monopolies and shit. But here we are. Anyway, I love you, chat, here on Odyssey, and I love you too, Sammy.
Love you as well, Apex. I hope your holidays are going well, and I know that you and I will be on. Well, we'll definitely have
Oh
a holiday
yeah.
stream. We'll definitely have a holiday stream of our own, but I also know that at some point we will be both appearing on another Planet Streamers
The 23rd of
holiday.
December. Yeah. The 23rd of
So,
December.
so yeah, I can't wait for that. And I guess Merry Christmas, everyone, and fuck YouTube. So,
Good night.
good night. Have a good night. Have a good evening, folks.
Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.